Now welcome back dear students to a new chapter in the book, chapter 6 called Corporate Social Responsibility, that is also called CSR in short, and the concept of business ethics. So this is the 6th chapter as per your NCERT, and here the 5 main concepts that we need to study are concept, the need and arguments for assuming CSR, and few arguments against CSR, then the different types of social responsibilities towards the different groups, and finally the concept and elements of business ethics to be implemented in the business organization. So we are going to cover this topic. The first two topics we will be covering in one video. So let's begin. So the very first point, student, is the concept, the basic concept of social responsibility. So if you see in the NCERT, the social responsibility of business is basically an obligation on the part of the business to take decisions and to perform only those type of actions which favor or which are desirable to the society, its objectives and its values. So it clearly implies that the enterprises must have a respect, a sense of respect towards the aspirations of the society, towards their dreams, and they should do all the best efforts to contribute to it, to their achievements, and should not pursue anything which is against the interest of the society. Here it is also said clearly, students, that business, generally people perceive this idea is there that business is only for profit making and the owners are only responsible for getting the maximum profit to the business. On one side it is very true, but if we have to live in the society, because business, no business will thrive in isolation. So in order to thrive along with the society, every business is considered to be a responsible member of the society, and for showing its responsibility towards the society, it must take necessary efforts that is in harmony with the lives of the people around. And definitely this concept of social responsibility is broader in nature than legal responsibility. The enterprise might be following and might be compliant with all the laws, but there is a social responsibility element which is more than the legal responsibility. It comes as a moral value, moral obligation on the part of business to assume and to undertake only those activities. It also involves an element of voluntary action on the part of the businesses to take only those actions which are in favor of the members of the society and which does not cause any harm in general to the society. So the next topic here is arguments that are for social responsibility. The need for social responsibility, we can also refer to this topic as need for social responsibility. And here, students, this is a very important topic where you are supposed to mention these 7 points that can clearly be remembered as GO LSR GE. GO जाओ LSR लेडी श्री राम कॉलेज, और जो वहाँ से पास आउट होगा लेडी श्री राम से, वो डेफिनेटली एक अच्छी कंपनी में recruit हो जाएगा. So GE, General Electric, a very famous company. So you can remember these 7 points as GO LSR GE, where G represents the government regulations, O says converting the problems into opportunities, L represents the long-term interest of the company, S says for the maintenance of the society, R is basically the responsibility on the part of business, and G symbolizes growth, and E says to provide a better environmental condition to the enterprise. So now let us see, students, from NCERT that what these points have to say in detail. These are the various needs for social responsibility by the business. So the very first point here is GO, G and O. So in the G we can mention G as growth. So definitely the existence and growth of the business is completely dependent on the type of activities that are undertaken by the business. So business is basically to satisfy the human goods and services wants and needs, but it should also be taken care that prosperity and growth of the business is possible only when its people are kept satisfied. So therefore for long term existence and growth of the business, this undertaking of social responsibility is must. Then O represented the converting the problems into opportunities, the last point here mentioned in NCERT, the sixth point. So here it says, as per NCERT, that if the business wants to convert these problems into its opportunities, then definitely for converting the risky situations into profitable deals, it cannot ignore the social problems of the society, and hence they must aim at solving the social problems and also making all the challenges that are coming their ways, accepting it and making them useful for the members of the society. So this is all regarding O. Go. Then we have LSR. So L represents the long term interest of the firm, because definitely if the firm has to make a stand and it has to build up an image in the society for a longer duration, then it cannot just be through profit maximization. Definitely it's a basic theme of the business that runs in every kind of business, but highest goal is to serve the humanity or the serving the society, because you see students, the resources are taken from the society. Whatever business is doing, it is with the help of workers who are part of society, consumers who are part of society, shareholders who are part of society, government officials. So everybody is working in coordination. So business cannot be aloof from these elements, and it has to coordinate well with the different elements in the fashion of give and take, and therefore cooperation can only lead to its success and its long term sustainability. So this is all regarding L. Then we have S representing maintenance of the society. As we have discussed already, that assumption of business social responsibility or corporate social responsibility is not just legal, rather it is desirable from the business. So it also becomes their moral responsibility, or we can say that a voluntary action on the part of business, that business enterprises should assume these social responsibilities and should not resort to any anti-social activities, because definitely the government will be more interfering and strict towards the enterprises who do so. So in the next one we have R. R means for availability of resources. R represents resources here. So as we have discussed, the business institutions have financial and human resources which they are taking from the society. So therefore it can help society to tackle its problems better given the huge financial and human resources at its disposal. If we are disposing these financial and human resources at the hands of the business enterprise, then they become much more responsible for serving to the society, because they are utilizing all the scarce available resources of the society. So LSR, and then we have G and E. So now the last 2 points, students, G and E, where G represents avoidance of government regulation. G is for government, because if the business is adhering to all the social norms and they are not doing any antisocial activities, then definitely the government also places a strong faith on the business, and they always cooperate with the business. It is believed that businessmen can avoid the problem of government regulations by voluntarily assuming social responsibilities, which helps them to reduce the need of new laws, because government will not take any adverse action towards such business units who are already taking care of the society and behaving as per the norms of the society. So in order to avoid government's regulation and government's interference, unnecessary interference in the business, there is a strong point to cover CSR, so social responsibility by the business. And the last point is setting a better environment for itself. Definitely once the government is under check, they are not interfering, and the business is giving every share to the society from whom it is availing all the resources, the workers, the human resource as well as the financial resources given by the stakeholders, then definitely it is creating a better environment nearby, and which will ultimately lead to its success. So business system should do something to meet needs before it is confronted with a situation when its own survival is endangered. So definitely if they are meeting the needs, their survival will be ensured, and it will be helpful in fewer problems to the society and better environment for itself in return. So this is all regarding arguments for assuming social responsibility. Just remember as GO, LSR, GE. So the next important segment is arguments against the assumption of corporate social responsibility, that is called CSR, by the business. So in this there are very few points, students, because it doesn't make any sense that the business who is consuming all the resources from the society and availing all its benefits from the social segments, the different groups of the society, cannot give them back in a better manner. So there are very few arguments against assumption of CSR, and we can remember as PPBS, PP bus. You can remember like this, just 4 points. First, P represents the profit maximization feature. Second is public support, which is not in favor, and C bus, BS, B represents the burden, unnecessary burden, and S represents the social skills in which the business lack. So we are going to see these points from NCERT now. PP, BS, just the 4 points against assumption of social responsibilities by the business, and the very first one being profit maximization objective, because generally when we see the business, the very next word that comes in mind is profit. So profit maximization is the basic aim of any kind of business, and every business exists only for profit maximization. This is the theory, and due to this, if they are assuming the social responsibility, unnecessary the things will go against the profit maximization feature. However, in modern day it doesn't hold true, because if you have to sustain for a longer duration, you must incorporate the corporate social responsibility feature in the business in order to maximize your profits for the long run. The second being another P for lacking of public support, because public is not in support when government, when business units assume social responsibilities, because generally public have expectations from their government, and it's government's feature to look after the social welfare function of the society. But if the business is interfering with that, then sometimes it is not well accepted by the public, and generally the public in general does not like the business involvement or interference in the social programs. So sometimes it is also a factor to not assume social responsibility. Then B denotes the burden, because definitely when the business unit will take steps for social responsibility, it may be to control pollution, or it can be protection of the environment, then it will have to give some basic features. It will have to add on few more features into the business to make it sustainable, to make it eco-friendly. On this way, they will be incurring more and more finance. So financial involvement would be there if the business unit takes another step or goes behind to take care of the social welfare and the different expectations from the society. So definitely there have to be this shift of burdens. Unnecessarily it will increase the financial burden on the business, and definitely they are going to shift this burden of finance to the ultimate consumers. So definitely in the form of high prices, or maybe the unfair taxes on consumers, they will somehow, the business will try to shift on this burden that they have assumed, that they have carried while assuming the social responsibility, and this will not be in favor of the consumers, because ultimate consumers जो होंगे उनको ही भुगतना पड़ेगा इसका अंजाम, क्योंकि कुछ भी अगर बिजनेस लगाएगा अपनी तरफ से सोशल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी को निभाने के लिए, तो उसके साथ एक एडेड कॉस्ट आएगी, एंड दैट कॉस्ट विल ग्रेजुअली बी शिफ्टेड टू द कंज्यूमर्स. सो दिस इज द बेसिक आइडिया. एंड एस रिप्रेजेंट्स द social skills in which the business deliberately lack, because we assume that businessmen, they are good in making profit, they are good in making businesses, and they are good in making policies for the business, but they might not be that good in assuming the social responsibilities and having all those social skills to handle those responsibilities. So definitely when an ineffective person or an inefficient person will handle these social activities, social welfare activities, then definitely there will be added cost and wastage of resources unnecessarily, which will hamper the society at large, and definitely the burden will get shifted to the consumers. So the business problems cannot be solved by the businessmen. They do not have necessary understanding and training of social problems, and therefore it is better to leave them apart from this. So this is an argument against assumption of CSR. Just remember as PP bus, PPBS, 4 points.